Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for October 13th. October 13th is the 286th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 287th in leap years, with 79 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is amazement. Amazement is a noun that means the feeling that accompanies something extremely surprising. And with that, we're going to start on October 13th in the year 54, when Tiberius Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus died from poisoning under mysterious circumstances. Why do we care about that? He had become emperor in January in the year 41, when he was about 51, and probably only survived to that age because he'd had a limp and slight deafness due to some sort of childhood illness, which made would-be enemies see him as non-threatening. He'd survived the purges during the reigns of Tiberius and Caligula, and was declared emperor by the Praetorian Guard when Caligula was assassinated. Claudius turned out to be a pretty decent emperor, good for the empire in general. His slight infirmities had served as great camouflage, leading murderous powermongers to see him as harmless, but now that he was emperor, some still saw him as weak and vulnerable. He was married 4 times, fathered 4 children. His 4th wife, Julia Agrippina, also known as Agrippina the Younger, happened to be his niece and the mother of Nero, whom Claudius adopted. There are other theories, but it's generally believed that his wife, Agrippina the Younger, Nero's mother, was behind this poisoning. Claudius was 63 at the time of his death. Nero was appointed his successor, but Claudius's youngest son, Britannicus, would also die of poisoning the night before his 14th birthday a few months later, when he will have been considered adult enough to possibly be considered for a future emperor. This is the birthday of singer-songwriter Paul Simon, born October 13th, 1941. He began performing with his friend from school, Art Garfunkel, in the 1950s, and the duo became known for their blend of folk and rock in such songs as The Sound of Silence, Mrs. Robinson, and Bridge Over Troubled Water. The team disbanded in 1970, and Paul Simon enjoyed solo success with such songs as Still Crazy After All These Years, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover, and You Can Call Me Al. He's been a prolific songwriter and performer with 15 studio albums, 61 singles, and dozens of other media as a solo artist, plus the 26 singles and dozens of other media created as part of Simon & Garfunkel. Quite the creative. And in honor of Paul Simon's birthday, today's song is Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon & Garfunkel. Composed by Paul Simon, Art Garfunkel is the lead vocalist on this one. You can hear the influence of gospel music and the big wall of sound style of production. Interesting to note that the instrumentation was provided by the Wrecking Crew, who I've mentioned before, out in Los Angeles, whereas the singing was recorded in New York. Bridge Over Troubled Water is Simon & Garfunkel's most successful song and is considered a signature song for them. It hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 at the end of February 1970 and held that spot for 6 weeks. Great song, Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon & Garfunkel. Link in the description. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with the link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That description lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Alrighty, back to work. I think we got it this time.